Welcome back, mamas. Y'all, today we are going to talk about goals, goal setting, why this is so important as moms, why and how you can use goals to help you in your daily life, and how it can keep you focused and just really make you a better mom. So let's get to it. Do you wish you had control of your days, that you had a rhythm, but instead feel overwhelmed, scattered, and like there's never enough time? You're in the right place. I'm Danielle, a recovering workaholic, wife, and stay-at-home mom of two girls. I've learned how to reclaim my time and find purpose and freedom so I can be present with my kids and feel like myself again. Here, we embrace where we are, but we don't stay there. So if you're ready to trade the chaos for clarity, the guilt for grace, and the endless to-do list for aligned flow, grab the kiddos a snack and toss in that laundry because I know you're multitasking, and let's do this because your time, your purpose, and you matter. Okay, mamas. So this is the first week of February, and we have been this whole month of January. We kind of took a pit stop for a minute so we could talk about affirmations because I really did feel like that was an important piece, an important foundation to you having a rock solid year, right? To you having your best year. That's what I want for you, is for you to have your best year. And I did not feel though that I could miss the week that we talk about goals and goal setting, and why as moms, this might feel like, if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're like, why do I need goals, right? Like, why would I need to go through the process of goal setting? Isn't that just one more thing to add to my to-do list? And while yes, it is one more thing that you have to do, I really do believe that if we don't do this, we can spend our days inefficiently, ineffectively, and wind up making ourselves more frustrated, more overwhelmed, more stressed than we need to be. We can make our lives a lot easier when we plan, right? We talk about planning all of the time. I know that is a huge thing that we do, but goal setting is really an important piece of planning. And when we don't take the time to do it, a lot of times it is very hard to be able to plan what it is that we want to do. So I do feel like there are things that need to happen before you goal set, right? We need to do some of the things that we've been talking about all through the month of January. So if you have not listened, I would definitely highly recommend you go back and listen to us talking about core values and the other things that we've been talking about that build up to this place where you can goal set for your year, for your month, for your day even, right? Because a lot of times we can get overwhelmed by thinking about goal setting and vision boards or all of these things that we're like, I just don't know if I can do that, right? Like, how am I going to make it through the day, much less plan for the year or goal set for the year? And I want you to think about this as more of a bite-sized, like, chunk of thing that you're going to plan for. It's like a bite-sized piece that you're going to take out of your year. So you don't have to plan for the entire year. In fact, I actually haven't even taken the time to sit down and plan for my whole year. It takes me a lot of time when I do that, and I like to do it a certain way. And so we aren't going to talk about how to do that today. We're actually going to talk about how to set like a monthly goal or weekly goals that will help you to achieve that monthly goal. Okay. And so when you think about it in that way, in a much smaller way, a lot of times it'll become a lot less intimidating because you're not thinking about it as, gosh, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing a year from now or at the end of this year, right? Or even in 6 months. But I can plan for what I'd like to see happen by the end of February, right? And so we start small. And when we have taken the time to do some of the other work, like identify our core values, that is really going to help us in our goal planning. So I want to start with a quote here. This one is from Zig Ziglar, who says, "You need a plan to build a house. To build a life, it is even more important to have a plan or goal." So you wouldn't ever want to buy a house that someone had not planned when they built it, right? If they just were going by the seat of their pants, trying to figure out how to build your house while they were building it, do you think it would turn out well? Probably not. Not unless they were like a skilled architect and they, knew all of the things, the ins and outs of architecture. But chances are in your life, in your mom life, especially when you're building a life for not just yourself, but you're building a life for your family, right? For your children, for your spouse and your children, your entire family, you are building this life for yourself and for them. And if we don't have a plan, then what is going to happen? Imagine that house that didn't have a plan, right? You're going to not have a rock solid foundation, right? And the house is going to crumble after a while when you're living in it, when big storms come, when all of these things happen, when you haven't taken the time to plan it out well. And when you don't do that for your life, you are just setting yourself up for failure. And I do not want that for you. I know that when I don't take the time to goal set and when I don't take the time to plan, that is when I wind up at my most stressed. And I believe you are probably going to find that it's the same for you. We really do need to start with a plan. Okay. So what does that look like? So I'm going to talk about how we create goals, right? And you may have heard something before called a SMART goal. If you're anything like me and you used to work in sales or anything like that, you probably have heard SMART goals, or you work in a business setting. A lot of times you will have SMART goals as a team for your, sales. Like there are a lot of different places that use SMART goals. And you might think, why would we need a SMART goal in our family or in our life, right? In our daily life. But I am going to say that a SMART goal is something that is going to make it so that you can reach the goal. Okay. So I'm going to tell you what the acronym means. Okay. So the S stands for specific. Specific. You want the goal to be specific. You want it also to be M, measurable. You want it to be A, attainable. R, you want it to be, some people say this is realistic. I say it is relevant. And then T is timely or time bound. Like you want it to be, done by a specific date, right? You always have to put a date, a due date on your goals. Otherwise, it becomes really hard to reach that goal unless you put a time stamp on it. Okay. So starting with the S, you want a goal to be specific. So instead of saying something like, maybe if one of your core values is healthy right now, right? Like this is something that is important to you is your health, your family's health, things like that. And there is maybe a losing weight goal. So that's like a lot of times a New Year's resolution that people have, right? So you might say, I want to lose weight. You would not be having a SMART goal if you just said, I need to lose weight. I'm going to lose weight, right? Because that is not specific. It's not measurable. You didn't put a time frame on it, anything like that. So what you want to do is to break it down and say, I want to lose 5 pounds by the end of this month. Right? That would be a bit more specific. And really, I would say you should probably put like an actual, I want to lose 5 pounds by February 28th. Right? So that you actually can say on February 28th, I weighed myself and I am 5 pounds lighter than I was on February 1st or whatever the case might be. Right? So if you are making that as your goal, then that would be specific, right? It would be measurable. You can weigh yourself. Would it be attainable? So this is the thing where you have to look at the goal and you have to think, is this something I think I can do? Right? So in February is already a little bit shorter of a month. Is it going to be able to be attained in those 4 weeks? That means you're going to have to lose on average like 1.5 pounds, maybe a little less than that if you're going for 5, right? Like that's 6 pounds, but you could lose 6 pounds if you lost 1.5 pounds a week, right? But how are you going to do that? Like that is measurable. It is attainable. If you believe it is attainable, but how do you think you would do that? Is it relevant and realistic? Those are the other things that you have to look at. Relevant to me, since it is relevant to your health goal or your health core value, then that means it's relevant. Is it realistic? I'm not sure. You would have to decide that for yourself and then you put a timestamp on it, right? Like if you were to say, I want to become a runner, right? Then you should narrow it down and say, I want to be able to run 1 mile without like feeling like I'm going to die by the end of February 28th, right? And then you would figure out, okay, how am I going to do that? What is it going to take? Like those goals are actually very specific. Something that you could say is maybe like, I want to let's just say like you go to the gym, right? Like that's where you work out. I want to be able to, by February 28th, I want to feel confident and comfortable by walking in when I walk into the gym. Like right now, if you feel super intimidated, you feel like unhealthy, you feel so you don't have to get as specific as a specific pound, or I want to be able to run a mile. You could say something that is more like touchy feely that only you would know if you hit that goal, right? But it has to be measurable to you. You have to know whether or not you really did accomplish that goal by the end of the month. And you were able to walk into the gym on February 28th and say, I feel super confident and I feel good, like I belong here at this gym, not like I want to go and run in the corner and not let anybody like look at me or see what I'm doing, right? So that is a whole different feeling. And that is something that is okay as well. It's all though relevant, it is specific. You have a specific reason that you are doing that, even if it's just the feeling, right? You're able to measure it. Like, am I embarrassed or not? It is timely, right? Like you want to be able to do that by the end of the month. And then maybe next month you set a different goal, because if right now you are overweight, you feel like you never work out, you don't do anything like that, and you're like, I don't really know if losing weight, what that looks like. I don't really know if I could do 5 pounds. I don't really know if I could run a mile. Like, but I really want to just feel comfortable going to the gym. Then you know you're going to have to go to the gym, right? In order to feel comfortable walking into the gym by the end of the month, you're going to have to work out. You're going to have to go. You're going to have to do that in order to go. So you might start with that small goal of wanting to feel like you belong at the gym by the end of the month. And then next month, you can set another goal. Right. And that's when you can start working on, okay, well, I feel good going to the gym now. And I know that I actually lost a few pounds too. And I can run like a mile really doesn't even feel that hard for me. So all of those goals, you might have actually reached them. But really what you did was you were able to achieve that goal because you put something on there that you were comfortable with. Right? You put something on there that you were comfortable with being able to achieve, and something where you could actually go week by week and say, okay, if I am going to the gym, let's say I'm going to go 2 times this week. I'm going to make myself go to the gym 2 times this week. It's going to be really hard, whatever. Then you look at next week and you break it down and you're like, okay, I went 2 times last week. Do I think I can go a third time this week? And then you break it down week by week. And so you break it down into smaller pieces. And by the end of the month, you are going to wind up at the goal that you want to do. So you want to make sure that you are able to break it down piece by piece and start small and not come into this never having worked out or never having, I keep talking about working out. I don't even have that as a goal. Like my goals are all around my decluttering and my business and different things like that. But another example would be like if you're saying, I want to read the Bible more this year. Well, okay, let's break it down, right? This year, you want to read the Bible more. So what's going to happen this month? Well, this month, let's say I'm going to get through the New Testament in 30 days. I've seen a lot of Bible plans that are like, get through the New Testament in 30 days. But what does that actually entail? Like, how many books of the Bible are there? In order for you to get through the Bible in 30 days, you're actually going to have to do quite a lot of reading. And if you've got littles at home and things like that might sound like a really doable thing because other people and because there's plans out there that say you can do it and whatever. But how many books of the Bible are there? And how many chapters are you going to have to read every single day in order to do that? And what does that mean? It might not be attainable for you. And so even though it's a specific goal, you can measure it. You have to make sure it's attainable. It's something that you want to do, yes, but is it attainable? Is it something that you're going to be able to achieve in those 30 days? Or maybe you say, like, an even smaller goal, but you make it a weekly goal, is like 5 to 7 days of every week, I am going to read the Bible for 15 minutes. Okay. And so then, you have those 2 day cushions, right? Like if life gets away from you or whatnot, you have 5 to 7 days every week. You are going to read the Bible for 15 minutes a day. Okay. And so then, okay, I have to get up a little earlier, or I have to go to bed a little later, or while the kids are napping, or while this is going on, I'm going to read the Bible then. And you're going to have to make a plan for it to be able to happen. But this needs to be something realistic, something that you can measure, something that is timely, and that you're putting like a timestamp on it to where you can check yourself. Like, okay, at the end of the week, did I read the Bible 5 times or 7, right? For 15 minutes each time, and see how that went, and start small. If you've not been reading the Bible, see how many chapters you get through, right? Pick a book, start as John, like, I don't know, that's like probably my favorite of the books, the 4 books. But you could start at Mark and work your way through, right? They're very similar books, but start there and see how many chapters, how many pages you get through in 15 minutes. And then maybe the next week or the next month, you can look at it and say, okay, realistically, in order for me to get through the entire New Testament, I would have to make my goal this long, right? So you can break it down that way. So goal setting can be one of those things that gets a bad rap because a lot of people set goals that they aren't quite attainable if we don't do something on the daily about getting there, right? Then we're never going to get there because it's going to be really hard to start when you start to make these goals that are really big and that feel so far away. This is why I like to start with like a weekly goal or a monthly goal or even possibly a daily goal, right? It depends on where you are in your journey, right? You might feel like, okay, I can set a goal per day, I can set a goal per week, or I can set a goal per month. And I would advocate for trying to set a goal per month and then breaking that down per week, not to maybe get so granular as to go for a day, because as you know, mom life can get kind of crazy. And if you are setting goals for a day only, that gives you one day to achieve it. Right? And so because of how volatile mom life is, I would maybe set a monthly goal and then break it down to weekly chunks so that when you look at this month, okay, this week I'm going to do this week I'm going to do this week I'm going to do this, and this last week I'm going to do this in order to be able to hit that monthly goal. And then you can look at that and evaluate that when you sit down. Hopefully you're taking the planning advice and planning on your Sundays, and you can sit down and look at that. How did you do on your goal this week? Right? Just take a minute to look at it. You really don't need much time at all. And then adjust if you need to for the next week. And you're like, okay, maybe that is not. And who says you can't realign your monthly goal if you realize after week 2, you know what? This might have been a little bit more than I can chew right now. Like this might be too big of a goal for me this month. And so revise it, right? Revise it. You can do with your goals what you want to, but the key is actually setting them and then taking the time to actually do something and try to do something every single day to work towards them. I have a quote here from Maxine Lagasse that says, "It's not the goal that will make you successful. It's what you do daily." It's not the goal. So setting the goal is only half the battle, right? And setting a good goal is half the battle. I will say setting a good goal, because when you set a goal, that is not going to make you successful. But when you look at it and what you do on the daily to work towards that goal, that is what's going to make you successful. And so when you break it down into these bite-sized pieces, it becomes so much easier and so much clearer on how you can achieve your goals that you set for yourself. right? One more Zig Ziglar quote that I'd like to end with, and this is, you can't hit a target you can't see, and you can't see a target you don't have. You can't hit a target that you can't see, right? We can't hit a target if we can't see it. I mean, the chances are like slim to none. If you have a bow and arrow, you can't see the target. The chances of you hitting a bullseye are, or even the target whatsoever, are very, very, very slim. And you can't see a target that you don't have. So if you don't make this goal, then you can never hit it, right? When you don't make the goal, you'll never hit it because you can't hit the target that you can't see, but you can't see a target that you did not set. You can't see a target. And I do like to think of a goal as a target because when you look at a target, right? If you hit anywhere on the target, you're aiming maybe for the bullseye, but if you hit anywhere on the target, you're scoring points. So you don't have to hit the nail on the head. You don't have to get a bullseye. You can shoot for a bullseye, but hopefully it's very similar to a quote I shared a couple weeks ago about, shooting for the moon, but landing among the stars. When you shoot for the bullseye and you're going to hit the target somewhere, you're still going to be scoring points, right? You might not hit it exactly on the money, but you're going to get yourself way closer to that goal. And when you didn't hit it this month, you can realign it. You can shift. You can change where you were aiming. You can do a lot of things to then shoot again and try to hit that target again, try to hit that bullseye again. But if you don't set the target in the first place, where is the arrow going? You don't even know. You don't know where to shoot it. If you don't have a target, you're just going to be shooting in the air, right? And so you might want all of these things for your life. You might have all of these things that you're wishing and wanting for, but when you don't actually put a goal on them, put some kind of something for yourself to use as a stepping stone, use as inspiration, use as motivation to bring you closer to achieving that, you are not a failure when you don't actually hit the goal. Right? You are not a failure. What needs to happen though is for you to take action and to move towards that goal. And if you never set it, then you're most likely never going to take the action or the steps that get you in that direction. And so this is exactly what we do in my coaching. We do all of the things I've talked about all the month of January, right? We do all of that. We do all of the foundational work to get you set up to where you know what is important to you. You know where your values are. You know what in this season of your life that you can handle, where your strengths are and what you are looking to achieve. And we are building this roadmap. We are building this path, and it's never going to be a straight path, just like the arrow, right? You're going to have to realign, recalibrate your bow, like whatever you have to do, right? But we are creating this roadmap to get you where you want to go. And sometimes it may take you a little bit longer to get there, but I promise you, when you're on the path and when you're making progress and when you know where you're headed, when you have your true north, when you set your target, when you have those things in place, you are going to feel much happier, much more fulfilled, and much more like a better mom. You're going to be parenting from a better place, and you're going to be more fulfilled and happy, and everyone in your life is going to feel it. Trust me, I know this from experience. And so I would love to help you with any and all of that. If you have any questions, feel free to schedule a discovery call with me. But if not, please just go and schedule a prioritization clarity call, and we will start you on this path, on this journey to becoming who you are meant to be. Okay. So until Thursday, y'all, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Mama. If so, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and then hit share and send this to a mom who needs this in her day. I'll meet you right here on Thursday. Keep smiling, y'all.